Hey everyone, welcome back to Rather Be Visin. My name is Sam, and today we're going to be taking a look at measure names and measure values within Tableau and how you can use them and how to use them in the right way. So without further ado, let's hop into Tableau and let's have a look at what it's all about. So here I am in Tableau. I've just got a blank workbook. I'm connected to the EU Superstore dataset, and if we have a look at our fields we've got here, down the bottom in italics we've got our measure values and we've got our measure names. Now these are fields that are automatically generated by Tableau when you connect to a data set, and when you pull them into your view it pulls in all of your measure, both the values and the names. So if I put my measure values on my rows and then bring my measure values onto text, you can see it brings in all of the values that I have within my data set. Now this is fine when I'm in the EU Superstore because there's very few values that we're pulling through, so it's not taking too long to pull that together. But if you're working with a larger data set, this can actually be quite annoying, and what you find yourself doing is going through and saying, well actually I only want to have my orders and I want to have my profit and I want to have my sales, so I'm going to select these, delete that out, and now I've got those. There's an easier way to invoke both measure names and measure values when you're building out a text table. Let me show you how to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to clear my view here, and I want to have a look at my products. So I'm going to bring in my category, I'm going to bring in my subcategory, and I want to have a look at my sales. So I'm going to drag that over from the left. I'm going to hover it over this ABC, and you can see it pops up and says show me. When I drop that down, it sticks in my sales onto text. Now let's say I want to have a look at my profit as well. If I bring in my profit and hover that over the numbers, again I get that show me icon pop up, and when I drop that down you can now see that my view has changed somewhat. So my measure names has now come up at the top, so I've got my headers for profit and for sales. Measure values has now moved on to text, and we've got this new card down the bottom here for measure values. Now I can reorder these. If I wanted my sales to be before profit, I can reorder, and now they're in the right order. And if I bring in my quantity and drop that into my measure values card here, now I've got that within my text table. So that's an easier way of being able to pull those in and not have all of your measures appear in one go as it would when you drag on measure names and measure values. Now another way you can use measure names and measure values is when you're building out a chart. And if you want to have more than one line on your chart, you can use your measure names and measure values to pull those through all into the same chart. And one thing to keep in mind when you do this is you want all of your values to be of the same number type. So you want them all to either be pound values, or you want them to be whole numbers, or you want them to be percentages. So I'm going to hop to a new sheet. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make myself a new calculated field, and I'm going to call this discount value. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my discount, which is a percentage, and I'm going to times that out by my sales. So now I'm going to have a pound value of what that discount was. Click OK on that, and if I want to, I can come into the default properties and number format and say that I always want this to be a currency. So now if I bring that, my profit and my sales into the view, you can see I've got my pound values. Now in our filters, if we have a look at the filter here, we've just got our discount value, our profit and our sales all ticked, which is what we want. And now if I bring my measure names and I drop that down onto color, and I bring my measure values up onto rows, you can see we started to get our chart here. Now if I bring in my order date, drop that on columns, let's have a look at months. Now you can see I've got my three separate lines showing my values but all on one chart. So usually if I was to pull these in separately, so if I bring my profit, my sales and my discount value and I have those on rows, and I bring in my order date and I show that as month here, you can see they're going to have them all on separate panes, so they're going to be separate charts. So by using measure names and measure values, we're able to have them on the same axis so we can see the performance of those different measures. So that's two different ways that you can use measure names and measure values within your views in order to get much better information as and when required. So hopefully that helps. If it did, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.